Weathering with You, Tenki no Ko, known in Japanese, is produced by Komix and is directed by Makoto Shinkai, who did the massive commercial success Your Name, along with other titles such as The Garden of Words, 5 centimeters per second, Children Who Chase Lost Voices, and more. G-Kids is the American distributor for this movie. I got to watch the East Coast premiere screening over the weekend at Anime New York City with a crowd of over 2,000 people. The sound system at the convention was so dynamic that even raindrops from the movie reverberated into my bones, enhancing each scene. It was a fantastic experience having a live audience react to the movie, and I feel that more and more animated movies need to break through into the West. Weathering with You takes place in a period of exceptional rainy weather in Tokyo and follows a high school boy who runs away from home to Tokyo and an orphan girl who can seemingly control weather. We have a fantastic cast of supporting characters such as Keisuke, Natsumi, and others. The movie will inadvertently be compared to Your Name since it has a lot of Shinkai's signature style in storytelling, plot events, and visuals. They both tell a story about teenagers meeting each other through life circumstances and falling in love, and experiencing some kind of extraterrestrial event that can greatly affect themselves and the lives around them. Your Name was a story about how love can transcend time and space, showing that love isn't something that can be measured. It's always expanding, and Taki and Mitsuha overcame that. Weathering with You also shows people falling in love, and we're willing to make sacrifices for one another, to sacrifice one's life, one's way of life, or something just as important. I can easily say that in 3 years' time since Your Name, this movie looks even more gorgeous and spectacular. There are even more details packed in each scene. Weathering with You has a good amount of humor, especially about young adolescent teenage boys growing up and having desires to look at girls. There's a recurring moment between Hodaka and a character where the role of sensei and student are reversed. The character is actually one of my favorite written characters in the movie. They're so cunning and smart, and they elevated scenes whenever they showed up. The story was well paced, but towards the end, it felt like it stepped on the brakes, coming to a somewhat abrupt stop. There's one scene in the movie where it felt that the movie was made to sync up with a grand song. So by doing it like that, it just felt kind of rushed. There isn't a main antagonist in this movie. It just has some supernatural powers and explored the ethos behind it and the implications and consequences of obtaining those abilities. Hodaka's character design is fairly plain in my opinion. He's brazen in his actions, and as the audience we find out that he runs away from home while trying to live on his own in Tokyo, but outside of that, there is no more backstory to why he doesn't want to go back to the island where he came from. Hina's story is similarly challenging since she loses her single mother and has to become the caregiver to her younger brother by working to help pay off expenses. But the story puts these two individuals from different spectrums of life together, where they spend time growing closer to each other through their crazy adventures. Keisuke's a writer that saves Hodaka's life early in the movie and sort of becomes a father figure for him. And Natsumi is a college student who works for Keisuke. She's actually one of my favorite characters in the movie since she's so playful and is always trying to tease our male protagonists. They both play an integral role in progressing the story. I think that Shinkai is the next Miyazaki, while their styles and storytelling are different, but the impact they have on the West's reception of Japanese anime movie industry can be felt. Weathering with You is not a perfect film, and while I think Your Name had a better flow in story and character development, along with an overall better soundtrack, Weathering You has its visuals, top-notch voice acting, and some standout songs will no doubt do well in the West. It checks off on all the marks for being a Shinkai film, as it will surely tug on the heartstrings of the audience while delivering an ever-increasing visual fidelity that the industry sets each year. I think it is important for anyone that is interested in anime being on the silver screen to continue to show support for releases like Weathering with You, because I'm honestly itching to go back and watch this movie with friends when it releases in January. That's my review for Weathering with You, Tenki no Ko, and I hope you guys found it helpful. Thank you, and have a great day, guys. See ya.